All right, welcome back, guys, to the Gundam Evolution New Type League Breakout Series event number 3. That was a pretty quick winners finals there, but now we are moving on to the lower bracket finals. Last Second has been sent down here to face off against Tekka Dynasty. I'm Jamerson, and to cover all the action for you here in the lower bracket, I've got JJ once again. JJ, let's go ahead and have a quick chat about what you thought in the first match that you got to cast today.
Well, like, just one description, just one sentence over it, is that it is very quick. That's all I can say. It was very quick. You know, like I personally, I wasn't able to. I didn't have enough time to digest what happened, just because of how aggressive Matthew was. That they were able to like take in game number 1 immediately, and taking in game number 2 as well. The moment that it was their time to attack, we only had like what a minute or two, and everything's done.
Yeah, and I feel like, well, with this matchup though, here in the lower bracket, we could expect a longer match at the very least between these two teams right now, Tekka Dynasty and Last Second. It should be an extremely fun one because again, these were the two teams that we thought coming into this tournament would have an opportunity to stand a chance up against Mafty,
Right.
but both of them were sent down by that squad.
Right, and again, as we have mentioned, both of these teams are really good, and both of them actually would have another chance to get in on against Mafty that is currently waiting on the grand finals. So this is going to be, I guess, one of the most crucial, one of the most crucial matches that these two is going to have. Aside from the fact that if they lose here, they're going to have to say goodbye to the entire tournament. But also, having that special chance to be able to get back against Mafty is, I think that is a much bigger reward than actually, winning the entire thing. And if they do win against Matthew, of course.
Yeah, and we have to remember that once we do get to the grand finals, it is going to be a best of 5, but still down here in the lower bracket, it is a best of 3. So you have to be on your A game right now. There is no room for error whatsoever. In the past, though, in the lower bracket, we've seen some 4-map shenanigans when we have tiebreakers and everything. So we could have, just an all-out brawl, that goes all night. Right now, we are waiting on the map bans. We'll get it in just a moment. But it was kind of interesting.
Right, so here we go. The first ban is going to be a thermal plant, immediately followed by, of course, the colony trading post. But this first pick for both of these teams is something that I am not a fan of. Obviously, it's really fun to watch. As I mentioned with Chef here, it's really fun to watch, players playing in this map. But like playing on Harbor City is a different kind of experience. Mm-hmm. 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 Right, yeah, especially how after we saw Gasman, with the Barbie earlier, being the initiator of the team fight, being able to take in 2 at the very start when they were attacking, just really half down, Last Second into taking the A point.
I mean, for Last Second, it looked like, when you're facing off against Mafty, it's really difficult, right? I don't know if you watch any MMA. It was kind of like Anderson Silva sizing up their opponent, finding out the reach, and then all of a sudden, he gets hit on the chin. That's what Gasman did to them, set them rocking. But like any champion, they're able to kind of regroup and regain their composure. You got to see that. But I'm really surprised. I think Black Fort could have worked out for them. They're going to go ahead and take it out. And now we do have, I believe it's just kind of set in stone where it should just be 3 maps and then we're all done. So I'm really surprised about some of these map picks and bans because I think Flak Fort was going to be really strong for Last Second. But what do you think about the other maps?
Man, for the other maps, Modding R&D is one of the things that I'm really one of the maps that I'm really looking forward to, especially playing on modding R&D is actually a really good experience as well. We do have the Quarry. I'm kind of a 50-50 on that, but I guess now that I'm casting it, now that I'm going to be looking at it over on a third person perspective, as a bird's eye view rather. I can't wait to see what kind of experience I'll be getting against watching over Quarry.
All right, so Harbor City, Quarry, and then to finish things all off, once again, it's going to be Mountain R&D. We're going to get this match set up right now, but when we get back from our break, it's going to be Tekka Dynasty versus Last Second to see who'll move on to the grand finals right after this.
I don't wanna cry. Wanna cry.
Your goal is to capture both target locations. The mission is about to begin.
Right. For last second, at the very least, what I can see here is that, well, it's actually pretty cool because like they do have the sniper here, with Red Protocol here. Nostalgia, as I think we are. Sorry. That was TKD, Tekka Dynasty rather. Not last second. But last second though, they don't have any of they don't have a lot of long range attackers. They do have the Dom here, which is more of a mid range attacker. They do have the Pale Rider, however, just to try and to get in some damage as well. But TKD looking like they really want to do long range damage and basically just defend this over. Mm-hmm.
Who's apparently it's not just us. It's not just us. It looks like our players are also struggling as well. We had, I believe, a disconnect earlier on, and I don't
Yep.
know. I think I haven't heard a word out of Wonder, for the last 3-4 minutes. So I feel like something's going on there.
Well, I mean, well, Chef, he is well, he's jinxed the entire stream from the get go. So I mean, if anything, you shouldn't be blaming the technical issues on me for the broadcast. It's gonna be it should be on Chef.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Chef. I can only say that because you're not here. So
yeah. I'm actually taking a look at chat. I don't know if we've heard the tales of Gasman and the warm Dr. Pepper in the PSU. I'm reading the chat in the lobby right now. Some people are claiming maybe there's some beer being spilled. I don't know. I think last second should be fine. They have gotten Evictus back in. We're just waiting on Tizim right now. But while we have this chance, let's go ahead and talk about the map a little bit, So largely, it does seem like it has kind of changed, right? In particular, when you're playing normal matchmaking or ranked, you see a lot of people here on point A, in ranked in particular, try to play up close on that initial corner on the defense, but that's not really how it works out here in the competitive setting.
No, yeah, for point A, that's I'd say most of the fight that is happening, and then whenever there's a team, especially in a rank, what do you call this? When when the attackers are able to get in point A, most of the battles then happen to immediately from the entrance of B point, and can only barely get into to the actual B site, but then when players get into the B rank, that is where the chaos happens. Everyone is just falling down the ocean, going. Basically, everything happens there. It is very unpredictable.
Yeah, I mean, we see so much fighting. Like you said, that initial choke point, right after A, when you're just trying to make your way on over to the B side. As soon as you get on that ship, it's such an arduous task to try and break through that initial choke right after point A. I mean, we do see a lot of sniper play. I don't know if we're going to be seeing it here. There were inklings of it on the offense, but right now we are still just waiting. We're, I think, resetting the entire lobby just in case.
Right.
And it is the first map. Harbor City is definitely, I would say, a lot more fun to watch, especially when it comes to how strong our sniper players are here in GENL.
Yeah, and another thing, right? Another thing to add into that is that I'd say that it's quite harder map to play on if you're on the attacker, because of the the options are very limited to both of the teams. That there's really only one entrance going to the B point, except if you have like flying maneuvers, flying mobility into your unit, but otherwise it's really hard to play if you're on the attacking side once you get out of the A point, I'd say.
Yeah, luckily for that initial choke point, you at least have the spawn that's right there, right? So trying to regroup. We don't see too many.
It's not as far away.
Yeah, I mean, this entire map, right? It's kind of flipped in what happens, right? The defense starting on A have the longest run back, and then on B, the offense have an extremely long run back.
Right. And, again, for this match, it's going to be Tekka Dynasty and Last Second. So for those who are watching, this is the lower bracket, the finals, which is going to be a best of 3. And then whoever's going to be winning this one would be, fighting up against Mafty on the grand finals in a best of 5 fashion.
Yeah, so just to, catch everyone up once again. So Tekka Dynasty versus Last Second. The first map is Harbor, and then we'll be moving on to Quarry. So I misspoke a little bit earlier when I said there won't be a chance for us to see 4 maps set, but Quarry, you can still tie on that one, and then that would take us to a tiebreaker map. And then if it went 1-1, we would be going to Mountain R&D to finish things off. But then from there's no tiebreaker, because It is,
Right.
just pure domination. Only one team can walk out the winner. So I'm glad that we get to at least, cap off a match with a domination match where they can't be a tie. Right now, though, we are resetting the lobby. There were 2 crashes, it seems like, and it was all on the same team. And so we really do want to make sure that our players, are set up to be able to succeed in this regard, because it's really unfortunate. But for right now, I think, so far, you've only been able to cast 2 games. What have your thoughts been regarding kind of competitive Gundam Evolution?
No, yeah, it has been quite. It's so different from playing on ranked modes and casual matches as well. To the point that so it actually introduced me to this is what competitive Gundam is. It's very fast. I already expected it to be fast, right? I already expected it to be fast, but never did I thought that it is going to be this fast. I mean, I haven't casted a game as fast as Gundam Evo. That's what I can say.
Yeah, I feel like, especially for one of your first casts being a Mafty game, that's absolutely insane because it's one of the best, well, not one of the best current team in North America when it comes to Gundam Evolution. 2 times winners that are on the verge of a 3-peat. They're waiting in the grand finals right now, but they're a team that loves to control the chaos, and you get to see how they kind of maneuver around when it comes to the battlefield, right? Because it's not just about like you said, in ranked it's completely different, right? All of a sudden you're fighting with your team, and then all of a sudden you hear every single G maneuver going off, and you're like, guys, no, that's not what we do here. We can't use every G maneuver. We still have to play for B point. Come on.
No, yeah, but for sure, with that being said, I'm really, glad to be here as well. Thank you for everyone who made it happen as well. But I'd love to see more, and I would love to learn more from the community and from you guys as well, so that we can bring more of, the action of the, of our tournaments. But with that being said, we are now going into game number 1 of Tekka Dynasty versus Last Second. Again, of course, this is still going to be on the Harbor
Your
Stick.
goal is to capture
Yeah.
both
So
target
Tekka
locations.
Dynasty will be starting
mission is
off
about to
on the
begin.
offense. It's last second here on the defense end. Taking a look at their compositions, nothing's really changing. I believe, Tizim, before the crashes were happening, he ended up on the Pale Rider, and it was kind of surprising because even yesterday we saw some reluctance to actually go for that Gym Sniper. But, on point A, I feel like, especially on the defense, it is one of the more favored units.
Right. But here you go. I was just about to mention that we might go to a war here, colony war, because I pronounce it as GM instead of Jim. Please don't hate me, guys.
Okay, so I one of my favorite series growing up was 08th MS Team. So like that's where they always called it the gym, right? Because it was like military slang lingo, very like Vietnamish. But anyhow, here we go. As the gates have unlocked, Tekka Dynasty on the offense.
Wow, look at that. Tekka Dynasty really having a hard time right now, as Last Second is really putting up a fight here against Tekka Dynasty. Beautiful defense here.
Yeah, they've got to be careful. They hear those sniper shots on the other side. You can see they don't want to peek. As I believe almost every unit here is in one-shot range of a headshot. And so right now, it all comes down to Red Protocol. One shot, that's all he needs.
Right, but as we can notice here as well, like, TKD here is slowly but surely pushing in. Last Second here, while they are holding, they are getting pushed back a little bit, bit by bit by TKD.
Yeah, you can see why you don't want to play into that corner. It works as like an initial kind of funnel for a lot of teams, and Mr. Big Large was able to get a huge thermite down onto them. They got the initial pick off of it as well. So Tekka Dynasty, they're going to be sent back, and they have to reset at this point. For the Last Second, though, they're doing a great job. Take a look at their G maneuver build-up.
Right, so all of them almost half there, whereas, TKD is more or less like a fourth of their G maneuvers. But look at that amazing headshot here. Future Block is going to be taken down. And, another thing that's amazing here is that, Last Second here is trying to bake down TKD into, trying to get in, making them think that, okay, hey, you guys can get in, try to push in a little bit. And from there on out, they just, like, punish them immediately, and just like that, they're going to be able to take down 2. They'll make that 3. A lot of them are lower down at the moment. There's going to be the methods going to be taken down as well.
This is a beautiful play coming out from last second here on the defense so far. Remember that initial pick came out from Red Protocol. They had the backup though. They had the Suzabi, the big tanky body to get that repair, but ultimately at the end of the scrap, it is going to be Tekka Dynasty. Remember, every time you lose a unit, the defense is getting so weak because of the long run backs. Red Protocol with a nice shot, and now here they are onto point A.
Right, beautiful take, and I think, last second here would still have a little bit of a time here to get in, just so that they can contest this this point. But at this point on, I think it would be best if they can just give it up, and then just have a little bit of regroup and be prepared for the B point.
Oh, that's really unfortunate. You're right. I mean, now they're just kind of in really hot water. They lost out on Mr. Big Large. They lost out on the Blue Jay, and it's the Butterfly. And that's a beautiful Butterfly coming out from last second because they needed it. That huge clutch up from Fusion Blackie here, and we talked about it. This choke point is so incredibly hard to push through.
Especially as an attacker, because again, the options are very limited here, and everything of those limited options, everything is on the advantage of the defensive on the defense team.
Yeah. For the offense, though, for Tekka Dynasty, they do have the Ashmar Punch along with that Screaming Nimbus. The Screaming Nimbus is usually used to open things up and charge forward. We'll see if they can find the initiative.
Here we go. Let's find out together if that's going to be happening. They still have, however, 2 minutes and a half here, so they still have a little bit of an ample amount of time here to play around, so that they can get in. But look at that, a beautiful attack here coming in from the Dom here. Are they going to be able to try to, push them away? Not quite yet, but it's going to be 2 down for both of the teams. Then we got 3 into TKD.
Oh, I love
full defense from teams.
I love that play coming out from last second, actually. But they do have 1 player from TKD on the point right now. That was 2. That's Red Protocol and Hawklight going down. But you saw, again, the offense. They try to open things up. They went in with the Screaming Nimbus. You know what Tazim does? He gets on high ground. So he can't get taken out, and as players run in behind that Screaming Nimbus, he's focusing them down with the Hades. But here's the second attempt coming out from Tekka Dynasty to crack through this choke point.
Right, but here we go. A minute and a half, more or less, left here for TKD to get in, but last second, going to be able to take down 5 of them in the process. Oh my goodness. Zim is just comparing with the team and said, hey, we can definitely do this.
Yeah, we're seeing why Ashimar is such a huge pickup, but what just happened? 3 members of last second just got obliterated. They disappeared off the face of the map. This is the opening that Tekka Dynasty needed.
And here comes the Lumiere as well, coming in from Chaotic, of course, with that of the very newest, the newest suit in the game here. That is the Hyperion with Nostalgia here, trying to get in. But last second, 3 of them are now in, and that is going to be outnumbered. They're not going to be able to defend themselves, not without any help.
Yeah. They were not able to secure a second take. They got 1 on that last push with the Screaming Nimbus. And I'm so glad that Nostalgia was able to hold on to that Butterfly. They have so many G maneuvers online right now. They're popping all of them.
And there's another one. Oh, TKD needs this, but they're not going to be able to take down anyone with the Butterfly. Unfortunate for them. And they only have 30 seconds left here. There's going to be 2 down for them, but at the very least, Hyperion and the Ashmore has their G maneuvers ready.
The Ashmar Punch in the back. He gets to Zin down, and now last second they're scrambling.
Oh, it was a good thing that they were playing Ashmore, allowing them to get out of that of the pit.
Oh man, 7 seconds remaining. Tekka Dynasty are only able to get 43%. They need to get someone on the board, but Fusion Blackie is back where it all started with that Butterfly. They're gonna go ahead and close that one out. And now we're going to be swapping sides. Man, what an exciting first round.
That is definitely a very, very exciting first round. And compared to the first game that we've had, for the first match that we've had, for today's stream, this was, as you mentioned, more of a controlled gameplay for both of the teams compared to Mafty's really aggressive gameplay. So, well, it's less fast-paced than the first game, but otherwise, it's still still a great match to watch.
Yeah, there was one great moment there, and it was, of course, that huge butterfly coming out from Blackie. But it's not just the fact that he was able to kill 5, 6, the entire team with it. It was the fact that last second needed it at that moment, because as they were trying to contest on point A, they ended up losing out on Blue Jay, and they ended up losing out on Mr. Big Lunch, who was on Ashamar. Those are your two big AoEs in the Dom spam, right? With the rockets and the fire coming out from the Ashamar, that's usually used to control that choke point that TKD were trying to push through. Without the two of them there, they had almost no presence, and so they needed Fusion Blackie to slow things down. They were running back, and that's what he was able to do, slowing down Tekka Dynasty so much.
Right, and to add into that, again, as you mentioned, that is something, that is the moment that they really needed, because like that was also the moment where TKD was slowly pushing in, and if Fusion Blackie wasn't able to use the G maneuver at that point, I think that game would have went the other way around, where TKD is going to be able to get in that second point for that map.
And here we go. It's going to be last second now on the offense. Fusion Blackie still on that turn A Gundam. Exponent, of course, going to the skies just to get a cheeky little scan across the TKD members.
Oh, wow. Red Protocol putting up the protocol that they needed, some headshots, and they did.
Yeah, Hawklight also finding one as well. And I love how they're playing around this gym sniper. You saw that Chaotic, I believe, was hovering right on top of him just to make sure if he needs that shield, the Lumiere put it up, and then he'll be safe. But you can see now Tizim is trying to find an opening.
Blue Jay here. Both of them last second tried to find an opening, as you mentioned, and now they're trying to get in. And look at that. Lumiere is going to be activated. Nobody inside the Lumiere, however.
And Chaotix is one by himself. He needs to back away. He ends up getting one pack, but he's getting chased down.
Never mind.
Falls.
Never mind. They don't. It doesn't matter if they're alone. Their teammates are going to go with them. They're going to adjust for them. And now look at them. At a 3-minute mark, they are now taking in point A quicker than how TKD took it away from them.
Yeah, TKD got slowed down so much by last second's defense. It took maybe 2 pushes there, but for the last second, they just waited things out. They were able to find, it wasn't an initial pick, but a lot of burst damage onto one unit, forcing them to use a lot of their health packs on the retreat, and then initially push in. But here is the defense nostalgia. Actually close to that Moonlit Butterfly. He's at 72% for the G maneuver, but he's not going to have it for this first push. We'll see how long it takes LS to try and push through this choke.
Right, so Red Protocol now actually changing up into that of the new Gundam, which is actually very good as well. They just wanted to buy in some time for their teammates to be able to take in that A point, but otherwise, they still need to get in. And look at that, they're going to be able to take down 5 into the side of last second, and now TKD is just defending this quite well against LS. But LS, though, again, as they are able to take in that A point, the respawn point is now, nearer than ever. But the Lumiere is going to be coming up as well.
Oh boy, it is a scrappy fight right now, but Red Protocol finds a nice kill, allowing the defense to reestablish themselves. Unfortunately, though, they are no longer at the choke point. You can see now, last second, really turning the screws on the defense here. Effect will not get rezzed up as the Hades has been popped by Tizim, and now they're charging forward.
Right, and look at that again. Last second here only needs 44%, and they're already taking it. But here comes the Butterfly as well, coming in from last. Oh, okay, no, never mind, not last second, but rather from Nostalgia. But they're going to be taken out as well. But look at that. At the very least, Nostalgia, well taken down, was able to repel away last second from that from the B side, from them being able to taking that one away from TKD.
Yeah, and for TKD, even though they ended up using that Butterfly and it got shut down rather quickly, they still have a lot of G maneuvers for this defense. They've got the energy cable, but here comes the Screaming Nimbus from last second.
Here we go. Oh my goodness, going to be able to take down that Hyperion and deal some damage to the others as well. Screaming Nimbus definitely does a lot of work here. But we have to remember that there's still 2 minutes and a half here coming in from last second for them to play around with. But here comes Fusion Blackie with the butterfly. However, that is, they're still not going to be able to push in. But never mind, they are going to be able to push in now. But here comes the grab here. But the team maneuver coming in from the Hyperion as well. My goodness. Huge push there for TKD.
Oh, and they are cleaning up Fusion Blackie once again with that Miracle Moonlit Butterfly. Ooh. It is going to be the MVP of this map for last second. We even got a really weird interactions between the Turn A Gundams that try to overhead each other at that point. What a weird thing. But yeah, no surprise. That it was either going to be Fusion Blackie or Mr. Big Large. Both of them had some great moments there. The Turn A along with that Ashmar combo, so good here on Harbor City.
No, yeah, for sure. And again, with all the crowd control that these units, these suits have, in this map is just really valuable just because of the fact that, again, you could, well, if you are on the Turn A, you can just throw them away into the ocean. If you're Ashmore, you can punch them away into the ocean. Well, of course, obviously, and not just into the ocean, but like just pushing them in general with the Screaming Nimbus as well is just quite a huge thing for your team to have, especially just because of the fact that Harbor City, especially on the B point, is that it is a very tight location for any team fights to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that we at least have the one map where there is environmental kills, right? But anything more than that, I would not be able to handle it. So I'm glad we only have it there in Harbor City. But that is Harbor City. That
maybe not as rough as Harbor City. for a different map, right?
Or maybe like in one of the space maps, you like float off into the distance if you like fly too high as an Ashamar, and you like float off into the sun. What about that? All right, we are now just waiting for our second map. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. I believe, was it Flak? No, Quarry for our second map. It is Quarry, yeah. And that's going to be interesting. I'm wondering if we're going to see in Quarry one of our Barbados players coming in for this one, because Quarry is one of those maps where our Barbados can go absolutely buck wild.
No, yeah, for sure. Especially that, Quarry is one of those maps where, while it is a little bit tough, sorry, not tough, but rather tight, in terms of like, the roads, would you say it? It is, I guess, one of the maps that's most optimal for Barbados, right? For the Barbie to get in on team fights and, destroy whoever is going to be peeping up, if they choose to peep against their opponents, whoever's using the Barbie.
Yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and take a quick break while we get the map set up. And when we get back, we'll have map number 2 of Tekka Dynasty versus Last Second right after this.
Wanna cry. Wanna cry.
All right, welcome back to the lower finals here at the GENL Breakout Series. Lower bracket finals. Once again, it's going to be last second now, looking for that rematch up against Mafty as we move on to Quarry for map number 2.
Your mission is to destroy
And this is what
both
you're talking
target
about as well,
objectives.
right? Like,
The
we're gonna be
mission is
seeing
about
more
to
of the
begin.
Barbatos here, more of the Barbie, really. So, we have a Barbie here in Chaotic's hands, and TKD, we have one as well for, and Gasmans, as we've seen on, game number 1 of today's stream, into last second. But of course, we're going to be able to see, those are appearance as well. And of course, new Gundam into TKD, and we have the, the Unicorn Gundam into the side of Fusion Blackie instead of the Turn A Gundam.
Wow, I mean, I'd be surprised if they do go for that new Gundam. I mean, they still have options, right? They are on the offense, and so if they need to swap off, they can definitely swap off. But I feel like, yeah, you definitely need to at least stick with the Hyperion. So incredibly strong right now. But as the gates unlock, Tekka Dynasty are going to have to fight incredibly hard for this waypoint.
Right, and here we go. The gates are now open for the destruction of the map. It is going to be, once again, Quarry for our second game. And again, if last second here wins, then they have a chance to get in against, go back against, have a run back against Mafty here. But here comes Chaotic with a jump. My goodness, actually whiffing.
But they do end up focusing down Invictus, but the trades are going in favor of the defense. There we go. It's a 2 for 2. And there's the res with the energy cable coming out from Red Protocol to keep his team up. But they still need to try and get more kills here, and they will find it.
There's going to be 3 down into, last second. They're going to be able to try to take in this away point and successfully doing so as well. But, man, here comes the here's where the actual action is going to start. Where they need to get in on the A point or the B point. Or, sorry, you know what? Let's just call it the first point. There it is.
Yeah, I think right now for them, they are feeling really strong to try and go for B. Chaotic had a great push, and there is the pick from last second. And so someone even got the flank throughout all of that, JJ, and was able to neutralize the waypoint. Now this team is kind of isolated out here, trying to decide which point to plant on.
Yeah, and this is actually going to be crucial as well for TKD, just because of the fact that if they get taken out there, they have to travel a long distance for them to be able to get into any plant points.
Yeah, and just now they got that waypoint once again for them. Mr. Big Large, though, with a huge Ashmar punch in that last fight, helped them wipe them all out. But they are not able to kind of establish themselves back outside to possibly fight for that waypoint. So now it's going to be up to TKD. Where do they want to take this?
Yeah, let's find out together, as they are still, having a little bit of a tough time here into, knowing when and knowing where to go for the first point. Just because of the fact that, last second here is defending really well.
Barbie, Gasman coming in as they're able to find 2, I believe, with a G maneuver before ultimately going down. But things were going in the favor of Tekka Dynasty before Gasman was able to clutch up for his squad and slow things down. Now Tekka Dynasty, they're down to 2 minutes, and they don't quite have the G maneuvers you really want to push in yet. It's the energy cable as the first online effect might possibly have that punch for his squad, but really what they need is Chaotic to come up with that Barbados G maneuver.
Right. No, yeah, for sure. And, we have to remember that while TKT here does have, access to most of their G maneuvers, and almost actually everyone has their G maneuvers, they still have to think about the second point as well. So they cannot, just use it immediately for the first point. But look at this. They're now trying to, plan the mega charge, but they're going to be stopped in.
That
Beautiful
was
stuff.
huge. Mr. Big Large with another big punch. to stop the plant. And now you can see
That's
Blue Jay
true.
getting some free damage off, but Barbados in the back line. Chaotic is here, misses the stun, and now he's trying to back away. No, he does end up finishing off Blue Jay. They might go for the plant once again.
They did, and this time successfully doing so as well. You know, that punch was so big because that was like at the very last second of happening. But look at that, gets a stun and gets it down as well.
Chaotic is coming up clutch for his squad right now, keeping things alive, but they are back on to that Mega Charge defuse, and they do end up getting it. So now Tekka Dynasty, he only ended up getting 26.8% there on that Mega Charge. They have 40 seconds. This is their last shot. Like you said, JJ, they spent so many G maneuvers on that one. Now they only have the one.
My goodness, this is going to be a hard time for TKD, especially if they only have 30 seconds left. But look at that, here comes the G maneuver coming in from Invictus, but unfortunately not going to be able to finish the job.
Yeah, but the thing is, that was a counter G maneuver. Hawklight tried to go in with that Screaming Nimbus. He jumps over the Screaming Nimbus, goes in with that Lancer, and creates so much havoc that they're not able to follow up. Chaotic, though, tries to find anything, but he cannot get into the back. He cannot get to the plants, and that will be last second, stopping Tekka Dynasty here with only 27% on that Mega Charge.
That is true. And now, man, last second looking like they really want to get the run back against Mafty. You know, last second here only needs to get, they don't even need to get 1 point. You know, for this map as the attacker, they only need to get 27 points, 27% of the Mega Charge, and from there on out, they already won the game.
Yeah, that's a very small margin, right? It's like as soon as that Mega Charge is down, if you don't have players on ready to try and go for that disarm, you're basically done. But taking a look at this meta, we can see how hard it is to try to go for that disarm.
Yeah, and again, very beautiful defense here coming in from last second. TKD, however, I think they did a pretty good job as well. It's just that, you know, the defense here by last second was just quite greater than the offense of TKD, and you know, at this point on, we have to hope for TKD having that very beautiful and huge wall against last second, because if they can't, again, they would have to say goodbye to the tournament.
Yeah, if they can, though, if they can go for the full hold here on the map and make sure they don't even get a plant, we will be going to map 3, which will be on a mountain R&D, and I would love to see mountain R&D. These battles between Gasman and Chaotic, the Barbados 1v1s or duels has been so incredibly fun to watch. I want more of it here, but last second, like you said, are looking for that rematch up against Mafty.
Man, I wish someone would play the Grandpa as well. But, you know, again, it's understandable. You know, what works now is what you need to play. But look at that. This is going to be the final stand here for TKD if they can manage to hold this away immediately from that of the relay point.
All right, Wonder's been wanting it. I think we have almost every unit played now with the Mahiru coming out for Exponent. Unfortunately for the last second, though, they end up losing out on Gasman, but that's kind of what you do. You send him in to try and get something. It's feast or famine. But when he's feasting, he will be eaten good. But last second, though, do push them back at the very least. They get the waypoint, and now they're going in.
Oh, look at that. Gasman actually going in for the flank as well into that of the B site. But look at that. Last second, trying to spread away TKD and successfully doing so as well. They're going to be able to take down 3 in the process, and they're going to be able to try to plant away the Mega Charge, but unfortunately going to be stopped here by TKD. Very beautiful stuff for them if they want to survive the tournament.
Oh, Gasman on the lurk in the back. He's actually been spotted out by Effect. And this is like a horror movie. Effect wants to check that corner, but he needs the backup. Gasman is there. Oh no, here's Mr. Big Lurch. Effect will ultimately go down. And now the Mega Charge is going down. Never mind, it gets stopped.
Not yet. Not yet. Not quite yet. Exponent here. Trying to get in some axe here. Here comes the axe. Not going to be able to hit anyone.
I'm surprised.
Unfortunately.
He didn't actually like try to go for the charge with it to follow up and go for that one shot. And now with the big shielding members here, they got the Lumiere shield down. Exponent doesn't get the plant.
Wow, beautiful defense here coming from TKD, unallowing last second to, you know, get what they want. But here you go. Waypoint has been recaptured here by last second.
And 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That is what's remaining for Last Second, who off of, I don't know, a really strange push that somehow pushed TKD all the way back. They just never were able to get the plant down. So they're basically down to half their time. They have to deal with TKD, who have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 G maneuvers online, while all they have is a punch.
Ooh! That is true, but that is going to be a big one at that. And look at that, that's going to be 4 down into Last Second, while TKD is doing so much. Grim and Nimbus is going to be popped up as well, and going to be able to take down 5 to make the team kill as well in the process. TKD defending this really well, not having any percentages into the Mega Charge for Last Second. My goodness, I've been speaking so early, I haven't considered even yet. TKD defending this really well. Ladies and gentlemen, TKD is in the house right now.
Man, when you go for that big swing, you gotta worry about the counter, and that was what Effect had. Chaotic trying to shut down the screaming Nimbus, but we have the huge clutch up now. 2 coming in for Blue Jay, and the defense is scrambling. The Mega Charges down at A.
Okay, maybe I spoke too soon once again, as they were able to plug the Mega Charge and now defend this really well. Let's find out. The Sultan's is going to be taken down. The Sultan's is going to be 3 down, and they were able to not find any mistake at all. And Last Second is going to be the winner for the lower bracket finals, moving over to the grand finals, getting a chance for a run back against Mafty.
Oh man, Mr. Big Large with the second MVP.
Wow.
Once again on that Ashmar. We are seeing why the Ashmar is basically a 100% pick rate, but both him and Effect had some great moments there. I was talking about the Barbados, right? And how great it's going to be to see their like 1v1 the Effect they had, but no, it was the Ashmar players, JJ.
Not in this game. Not in this game. Yeah, sure. We were looking forward to that of the Barbies, but as you mentioned, it was the Ashmar that has the spotlight for this match.
Yeah, and it was such an incredible play. But the thing was, it wasn't just the Ashmars. This is a 6v6. It was a team game.
Right.
There were a lot of great moments. I mean, let's talk about some of the Hyperion G maneuvers that were coming in, all the screaming Nimbuses. What are your favorite parts about this match?
Man, definitely, man, my favorite part of this match was definitely going to be the last team fight that had happened in game number 2, just because of the fact that it was very clutch, coming in from from Last Second, and the mere fact that TKD was able to defend and have a team wipe rather without using any G maneuvers in the process, allowing them to still make use of G maneuvers later on in the team fight was just fascinating to watch. It's just that quite unfortunate that TKD, well, they weren't able to defend the Mega Charge away from Last Second immediately after that team fight.
Yeah, so Last Second started off the day, of course, in our winners finals, got sent down to the lower bracket by our 2-time reigning champions of Mafty. They'll be hitting off. It's going to be a best of 5. What are you expecting out of that match between Mafty and Last Second? Between the last, 30 minutes in between the sets, do you think Last Second have figured out anything to try and challenge Mafty again?
I personally think that Last Second would have a lot of adjustments now going into Mafty, and at the same time, we have to consider that sure, Mafty has been watching the stream as well. I know you guys are watching as well, watching, trying to study their opponents or upcoming opponent, whoever that's going to be, might be Tekka Dynasty or Last Second, but at this point we already know it's going to be Last Second. But at the same time, the momentum is currently into the side of Last Second, whereas Mafty has been waiting for their matches to get finished. So if anything, I'd say Last Second definitely does have the advantage right now, but we cannot dismiss the power of Mafty and at the same time.
Yeah. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and get that match set up. Map picks and bans going to be happening fairly shortly for the grand finals of the Breakout Series event number 3. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back after this break.